Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I'm broadcasting from lovely Escazú, Costa Rica, where it is September 20th in the year 2020, if you can believe it already, September 20th. And this is the week when the sun enters Libra on Tuesday and changes signs. And in the Northern Hemisphere, you go into the autumnal equinox. So this is when things start to shed their leaves and shed their skins and die off and prepare for winter, when things start to get the hues of the leaves start to get golden and brown, and it really is a beautiful time of year, but it is signaling that it's the stage before winter. So we have the sun going into Libra, which is an air sign. Now, as I've mentioned in the past, it's really good to have a balance of elements in the sky. And for the most part, we've had a lot of Earth. We have Uranus and Taurus. We have 3 planets in Capricorn for a long time now. We have the sun is in Virgo. The sun is still in Virgo until Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And so there's been all this earth in practical matters. It is good that the sun will be moving into an air sign for a month. Mercury has been in Libra since the 5th of September, so we've had that. But for a few days, we'll have both of them in air, and that's very helpful. Because, we need to communicate. We need to speak. We need to think. We need to have some other elements other than earth. There's some fire, that's good. There's not a lot of water, just Neptune in Pisces. This weekend, the moon was in Scorpio, has been in Scorpio, and it's in Scorpio till tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time when it goes into Sag. But the Scorpio moon helps the water element. It gives us more water. So it's sensuous, it's juicy and delicious, and it's not the moon's favorite place, but it does help us balance the elements. And having the moon in Scorpio this weekend has, to me, felt a little more emotional, sensuous, and easy to tap into senses and emotions, as opposed to there constantly being this earth, this plotting kind of energy. So as we experience the sun moving into Libra, which it will do for the next 30 days, as of the 22nd, it's going to be more about aesthetic and beauty and art and intellect and communication. And that's very helpful. Mercury, the planet of communication, rules where the North Node is in Gemini, but the node is not a planet, it's a point. And so Mercury is busy this week. Mercury has been busy, but Mercury is particularly busy because, as you know, it's in Libra, as we just mentioned, but it's getting ready to leave Libra, which means it's been talking to those outer planets, or those planets in Capricorn. Now, tomorrow, the 21st, it squares Pluto. So for now, anything that goes into a cardinal sign, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, or Aries, is going to eventually speak to those Capricorn planets, that cluster that's hanging out in Capricorn. So last Thursday, when there was the new moon, there was also the Mercury squaring Jupiter. And one would think that that's relatively good because it's Jupiter, right? But it's still a square, so it's a little uncomfortable. And maybe you had to have conversations that were not comfortable. Maybe you had to, tell things that were not comfortable, or you had to listen to people that you didn't want to listen to, or, maybe you had to expand your communications, and it was just more effort and more work. But tomorrow, Mercury squares Pluto, so that's a little bit challenging, and that is really something that we need to be aware of. It's going to be 1:18 a.m. So where I am in Costa Rica, it's actually 11:18 tonight. So Mercury Pluto is the planet of communication, challenging the planet of the underworld, the planet of transformation, the planet of intensity and passion. So when we have Mercury connecting with an intense, passionate, darker energy like Pluto, we are poised to do very good digging deep emotional healing work, or have deep conversations, or do deep thinking, or read something that's profound and affects us. Pluto, we want Pluto to affect us. We want to feel something with Pluto. And when I say dark, I don't mean awful. I mean deeper, mysterious. This is the time to watch mysteries and, British crime drama mysteries, and that's very Mercury Pluto. Agatha Christie, those kinds of dramas you often see. But this is one of those times when, if we do some deep intellectual digging, then we're going to feel the incredible passion for certain things and the passion behind certain things. Maybe you want to read something passionate. Maybe you want to communicate passionately to another. Now, that doesn't mean love. It doesn't have to be about love, even though Mercury's in Libra and it's about partnership. But it could be something that you fervently believe in and you want to discuss it with someone or discuss it with an audience. I think it's really important for you, each of us, to find the deep topic we need right now. And we can go deeper in our meditations. We can go deeper in our journaling and our writing. We can go deeper in our synchronicities. We can go deeper in our epiphanies. And that is what's really, really important when we do this. It's, to me, that says, oh yes, we can have some profound revelation during Mercury Pluto. So I like that. I like when Mercury talks to Pluto like this, and we can go digging deep. And if you're someone who does investigative work or research, this is a great time to do that. So Mercury then in the week will square Saturn. So again, remember, these planets are at the end of Capricorn, and as a planet like Mercury moves through the cardinal sign of Libra, it will make a square, a challenge to these Capricorn planets. So it's speaking to them. So first it was Jupiter, then it's Pluto tomorrow, then on Wednesday it will be Saturn. So that's going to be at 6:38 a.m. Eastern time. And so Saturn often presents a roadblock or makes us work harder. So this might be harder communication than we can actually, imagine. This might be a conversation we have to have that's, maybe a little challenging or a little difficult or something, but we have the ability to also continue, like if you're working on something and you're digging deep into, say you're writing a piece or writing a novel or writing a book, or, if you're digging deep into your research or something, it's really, this is good energy for that. It's good energy to have communications that are deep and profound. Now, what's going to be interesting is the sun will have changed signs between the time that Mercury squares Pluto and Mercury squares Saturn on Wednesday. The sun will move from Virgo to Libra. Why is this important? Because Mercury rules Virgo. So the sun was talking to Mercury. So it's more mercurial and it's more Mercury energy happening on Monday. When it goes in on Tuesday, now the sun is talking to Venus. And Mercury is going to talk to Saturn on its own. But Mercury, and it's interesting because Mercury has been talking to Venus because it's in Libra. But, it's disposed of by Venus. But now both Mercury and the sun are talking to Venus. So there's something relationship-oriented at the root of all of this. There's something about how you handle relationships. And Mercury and Saturn, Mercury and Pluto, these cause us to possibly have to have conversations that could be uncomfortable. But I like the idea of communicating in the right way, through using our heart. Venus rules your heart, and and your heart is ruled by Venus. And so one of the things that's important is listening to your heart and having a heartfelt conversation. Mercury then on Thursday opposes Mars. So Mercury's got an aspect almost every day this week. And so there it is again. It's Mercury's going to have another conversation with, this time with Mars, and it's an opposition. Now, Mercury's in Libra, and what's happening is that's, again, ruled by Venus, and Mars is in its own sign, so this might be a little bit battle of the sexes conversation, okay? So just so that you're aware of that, just be conscious that Mercury is going to be doing its thing opposite Mars, opposite the planet of, warrior, war and, battle. And the thing is that this is not, Mercury's in gentle Libra. Libra doesn't want to argue. Libra avoids arguments. Libra avoids confrontations. And this week, Mercury's in Libra, hitting Pluto, Saturn, and Mars. So there could be confrontations this week, but I can tell that everyone's going to want to avoid them. And of course, why not? Nobody wants to confront anybody. There's some people who love to confront, but there's a lot of mercurial energy in the sky this week, so there's going to be a lot of information flying. Now, that goes for the collective as well, especially since Pluto is a collective planet. And we start to think about how we are responding to news in the collective. All sorts of news that we get, whether it's about politics or pandemics or wildfires. There's a lot going on as far as the news, and we've been this way all year. So Mercury in its conversation with Saturn on Wednesday, and then 6:54 a.m. Thursday morning, it's talking to Mars. This is, it's still close enough to Saturn on Thursday for me, and, for those days, it's for me to call that a T-square. And a T-square is exactly that. It's the three-legged table. It's three pieces of astrology, three planets creating a T in the sky. And it's like the table missing a leg. And there is an out of balance thing. And of course, it all spills into Cancer. The empty space is in Cancer. So what we're looking at is the energy shooting into the Cancerian area of your chart, wherever that may be. And the thing is that it's Mercury, Mars, and Saturn. So this could be prickly on Wednesday and Thursday. Conversations could be prickly. And think about what you're going to say before you have to say it. And think about what could potentially happen as a result of what you say. Think before you speak, okay? Especially with the Mars retrograde, especially that the Mars retrograde is getting triggered. Please think before you speak. Don't make assumptions. Get information, understand the communication, and try to keep the communication balanced. And this is very, very hard sometimes when we get heated, as Mars is heated. Mars is a heated kind of planet. It's the heat planet. It's the passion planet, along with Pluto. But Mars is immediate passion, and it's in its own sign. So there's got to be, try to not have misunderstandings this week. There could be misunderstandings. And so be very careful about what you say and how you say it and what is said, because it could be, feelings could get hurt. You can say things you don't mean. Things are aggravating. And, it's not a time to pick a fight. It's never, when Mars is retrograde, and I've been saying this all along, not a time to pick a fight. And, just allow yourself to be communicated with and allow yourself to communicate, and don't get into your head and don't get heady. This is hot energy. Tempers can flare. Don't let that happen. Go for a walk before you have the conversation. Go for a walk after you have a conversation. Use the energy wisely. Get yourself like moving, get the energy moving. Take some steps outside, and that will help you if you can. That will help you not feel like you're gonna blow up. One of the most important things is that you are going to be feeling this, for a couple of days. And so it reaches its crescendo sometime between Wednesday and Thursday, and then definitely, will start to fall off. But then the moon goes into Capricorn on Wednesday evening. So 7:16 p.m. Eastern time. So when we're dealing with the moon in Capricorn, that's going to be one of those situations where the moon triggers things. So, the moon is not going to reach those Saturn, Pluto, Jupiters until Friday, and Mercury and Mars. So Friday, the 25th, could be one of those days where it's just an aggravating experience. And I just want to forewarn everyone, where if it feels prickly on Friday, try to assuage all of that. Try to be, and most of all, be honest in your communications. Gently honest, quietly honest, simply honest, not aggravated honest, not blatantly in your face yelling at someone honest. Okay, so it can get frustrated energy. We can get frustrated energy on Friday. Work with it. Don't let yourself get, caught up. And the most important thing is we're being tested. We have to maintain our cool. We can't just go, okay, well, the energy, I'm allowed to get like this because the energy is freaky this week. So I'm going to allow myself, I have a right to get angry. Just go for a walk, write it out. Don't close your heart. And try to have a heartfelt conversation with someone, and try to be, productive in the conversation. Saturn is productive. Saturn wants productivity. Capricorn wants productivity. So if something productive can come out of these conversations, well, then that's great. That's terrific. It's just, it can be a little complicated when you are trying to communicate in these few days ahead. And one of the things we want to be aware of is, that Mercury is going to start slowing down soon because it's going to retrograde. Not right yet, but it's going to retrograde in October. So it's going to be, we don't want these actions and these conversations to come back and visit us. If there's going to be complicated conversations, then have them be honest, clear the decks, clear your head, clear your heart, clear your space, and make sure that you are not allowing things to hang in the air and say, well, things didn't get said, and because Mercury's going retrograde next month, in about 3 weeks or so. And it's going to be another one of those situations where they may come back, what you say may come back to haunt you. And we don't want that. So work with the energy. Try to be conscious of how you're communicating, and how are you communicating with yourself? Are you being gentle with yourself? Are you being kind to yourself? Are you beating yourself up? Boy, this is energy where you can beat yourself up. Don't want to do that. You want to be really smart about this, and smart. Mercury is in Libra. Let's try to be smart. It's in an air sign. It can function well in an air sign. Okay, so allow yourself to be smart about the way you communicate, and balanced and fair. Libra likes fairness. So they don't like, this Mars opposition on Thursday. Libra just wants fairness, okay? And Mars in Aries doesn't care about that. It just wants to assert. And so even though it's retrograde, it still wants to assert. And sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's not easy to have these conversations when we're dealing with, an assertive Mars. But we can't assert the way we normally do because of the retrograde. So now, this is a really important point. Don't hold back. Just don't yell and scream. Just don't hold back. Be honest, but don't allow yourself to be, to be sidelined or let people talk you into circumstances that are things that you don't want to do or can't feel good about. You're like, well, I'm doing this to avoid an argument. Maybe not the best path. The path of least resistance is, sometimes you do have to pick your battles, of course, but sometimes it's just not the right thing to do by not talking clearly with people, So it may be difficult communications this week. Be aware of it. Be smart about it, okay? On Friday, we have a lot of aspects. The moon is very busy in Capricorn. It's going to hit Jupiter. It's going to conjunct Jupiter, sextile Neptune, conjunct Pluto, conjunct Saturn, square Mars, and square Mercury. So, I don't expect you to say, oh, I know what all of that means. It means that there's a lot going on Friday. So if you don't have a lot of appointments on Friday, that's good, because Friday may be a day where you feel the need to leave space open, because things may happen, stuff may happen. So just be aware of things happening and how they could be, just things just keep coming at you, okay? Handle them gracefully. Mercury is in Libra. The moon will be in Capricorn. There's going to be stress. With elegance, with gracefulness, that's what Libra likes. So just be as graceful as you can. This is not the time to chop off someone's head, even though you'd like to. Deep communication is important. Name calling is not. Okay. So, and by the way, tomorrow on my calendar, it's telling me it's an International Day of Peace. So keep that in mind. Make this an International Week of Peace, and keep that in mind as you're going through the week. Okay, and remember, Libra likes peace, and it's funny. I think it's funny that it's the 21st because the sun is still in Virgo at that point. The International Day of Peace should really come when the sun enters Libra. So maybe it's because it's supposed to be the first day of Libra and this was leap year. But anyway, International Day of Peace, make it an International Week of Peace, okay? With all this Libra energy flying around, we don't want to get into hairy conversations. The Mercury will move into Scorpio on Sunday the 27th, the next time we meet, and it will be at 3:41 a.m. Eastern Time. And Mercury, in Scorpio is a little sarcastic. It is a little acerbic. It's usually very witty. And as we are, processing this whole week, Mercury will shift signs, so that might actually do us a favor, because then again, something's going to be in water. As I mentioned at the start of this podcast, something's going to be in water, and that's good. We need a little more water in the sky because it's feelings and emotions and stuff. And I like the fact that Mercury's moving into water and the sun will be in air, and then we're going to be able to communicate our feelings. Very important. Okay. Now, what we are gearing up for, we just had, Jupiter go direct a little over a week ago on the 12th, but we're in a little over a week from now on the 29th, Saturn is going to go direct. Now, remember what we're dealing with. Saturn and Jupiter have been in Capricorn. Saturn left and went into Aquarius part of the year, but because they're together in Capricorn, they are getting ready to leave Capricorn. So now, once Saturn turns around on the 29th and goes forward. It's saying, okay, I'm taking my car, I'm driving out of this state and I'm moving into the next state. Okay, like you drove out of one city and you drove into the next city. Okay, there's a borderline that's going to be crossed, and that's going to happen in December. But Saturn is motivated and moving as of the 29th towards Aquarius, and Jupiter is motivated and moving towards Aquarius as we speak. Jupiter's already moving forward. Saturn is going to start moving forward, and it's starting to become all about Aquarius. Once this happens at the end of this month, then we're going to start to really feel the shift, because everybody that's been clustered together all year, these planets that have been causing the COVID and causing the pandemics and the death anxiety, are going to start moving away from each other. Saturn is not going back to greet Pluto again as it did in January. This is a huge relief. When Saturn moves forward, we're going to feel something different, and something different is going to start happening in the air, thankfully. And I believe and I hope that in my gut of guts, I'm feeling that we are moving out of this awareness. Okay, so we want to start moving away from all this intense Capricorn energy and move into something fresh and new, which is Aquarius. And Aquarius always feels different because it likes to be different. You know, it likes to be the contrarian, and it wants different energy. It wants a shakeup. It wants excitement. It wants a different path. And Aquarius is cooler. You know, it's an air sign. Capricorn is a warm, earthy sign. Even though Saturn is not necessarily warm and fuzzy, it's still an earthy planet, and it still generates earth energy. So as it starts to move on the 29th, not for a while, we'll talk about this again next week, we're going to start to really feel something different coming. And thankfully, there's going to be a new story, a new chapter, a new, fresh idea, okay? So where we're not getting the same old story. And, you know, Saturn did go into Aquarius early this year in March and all, and that's when the COVID was really, really hitting. But Jupiter wasn't there. And Jupiter was in Capricorn all this time. And, you know, Jupiter is going to bring a different, fresh energy to this. And Jupiter's going to bring some really different perspectives. And you know, people are definitely tired of hearing about this, because it's, like I said last week, the field is saturated. It's buzzing. It's too much of the same information over and over. And once these two planets are moving forward and headed in a different direction and saying goodbye to Capricorn, then we are going to start to feel something new and refreshing, and I believe that. So that's what we have to look forward to. Planets turning direct are always a good thing. It's better. They're not going backwards. They're not trampling over the story. But, you know, use this time as Saturn slows down, you know, to become aware of what you've dealt with since, you know, back in May, you know, mid-May, around the 14th, 13th, 14th of May or so, when Saturn went retrograde. So what happened back then, and it's all going forward now. So this is good. We want to sort of review what's happened in these months since May, and think about where you've been, how you've changed, where your life has changed, and where you want it to continue to change. And if you've got some new ideas and you'd like to, you know, move forward on those new ideas and stuff. And if you are you've got a new perspective. So Saturn has been in Capricorn since the end of 2018. So we're not, actually, I think it's the end of 2017. I think, yeah, it's the end of 2017. It really has been a long journey. You know, it popped in, it popped out. It's been going in and out of Aquarius and Capricorn. You know, it was the end of 2017, actually. I correct myself. I stand corrected. Where it's entered and stayed and not left very close by. It's been, it zipped into Aquarius for a little bit, but now it's really moving. It's going to leave and go into Aquarius for good. So all this time, we've had Saturn in Capricorn, except for a couple months. Like I said, it popped in, it popped out. What we used to say was, it thinks it's in Aquarius. It's not really in Aquarius yet. That's the way it was back earlier this year. So all this Capricorn energy finally saying goodbye with Saturn, and Saturn leaving eventually. So not till December, but enough for us to start to feel different. Back 3 years ago, we started to have the feeling when it was, in Sagittarius and was getting ready to go into Capricorn, we started to have that feeling of, okay, it's leaving Sag. It's finally going into a different area of the zodiac. It's been ruling the heavens for most of this time. It's a co-ruler of Aquarius, so it didn't move that far away. But Saturn is the disciplined one, the responsible one. So where we've been ultra responsible in many ways, maybe we're going to get a little break now, moving forward. Okay, so the moon is in Scorpio until tomorrow. It moves into Sagittarius at 3:32 p.m. Eastern Time. 2:13 p.m. it goes void. So it's void for like an hour and 15 minutes. It's in Sagittarius Tuesday. It's in Sagittarius Wednesday, but goes void 1:32 p.m. Eastern Time until 7:16 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's a good long 6-hour void or so. And goes into Capricorn. It stays in Capricorn the rest of Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday. It goes void at 11:36 p.m. in Eastern Time Friday night. So, for all intents and purposes, all day Thursday, all day Friday, we've got a Capricorn moon. When we wake up on Saturday morning, it will already be in Aquarius, as it will have gone in at 2:08 a.m. Eastern Time. And Sunday, it will be in Aquarius, so it's a more frivolous, fun sign. And it will stay in Aquarius Sunday, and no voids next weekend, but it will be, void on Monday morning of the 28th in the sign of Aquarius before it goes into Pisces at 11:34. So really, we're experiencing mostly Sag and Capricorn this week, and then Aquarius. So I think when the moon goes into Aquarius on Saturday, we're going to breathe a little sigh of relief. We may start to get a sense of what it feels like for planets to go into Aquarius. Whenever the moon goes in, it starts to give us a little preview. So hopefully we'll get a little kick out of that, and it should be something positive. Okay, so we're not. Saturn hasn't gone direct yet, not till the 29th. We're still here in this last week, the end of Virgo. We're moving into Libra, and we're going to have some air in the sky. We're going to have some conversations this week. So make sure they're pleasant. Make sure you stay in your heart. Make sure you think before you speak, and do not start any fires, any arguments, any wars. Okay? Thank you for listening. This is Deb McBride. You can reach me at my website, thegoldenastrologer.com. You could see me on my podcast here, where podcasts are distributed. You can't see me, you can hear me. You could see me on Instagram, The Golden Astrologer, where I post little videos about the daily astrology and other sorts of announcements. And I'm on Twitter at Deb Astrology. And I welcome you to book a session through my website, book online. And I welcome you to listen to this podcast every week on Sundays. Thank you. Have a beautiful week.